Hey guys, Glaze here with another CT setups video for you. I'm going to do Vertigo. I found this one a little bit more challenging than other maps because this relies heavily on what you really want to do as a team. However, some of these setups you can try with pre-mades if you want, and you can even suggest to your team if you're in one, or you can just try and matchmaking. Whatever you want to do, you can try it in there, okay? So I'm going to give you a few different ideas on A side, middle, and on B, just to try it out and see how it all goes. So here we can see 3 players on the CT side on the A site of Vertigo. You're going to have 1 player towards short, just watching the push there. And then you have 2 people playing 1 on the edge of elevator and then 1 behind the default box. The reason you have 2 sitting here is that first of all, the player sitting default is essentially being anti-flash. So if they throw a flash over, they will not be blind and they can swing off the flash exploding, meaning they can trade the second player who's elevator if they get full flash and have to fall back. It also works as another bait and switch setup at the same time. When the player in elevator gets contact, then the player on default box can swing out either side and take the fight with the player in elevator, making it a lot easier as it'll be 2 versus 1 fight and you can easily trade each other that way. Now going on to the second A setup I have for you here, guys. You have an AWPer towards just underneath Hell. That person should have an AWP preferably. You can just be watching the ramp walk up. Then you have a player on a headshot who will be watching towards short, and you have a player hiding sandbags. And I make it very important they are hiding and playing off the AWPer's contact, okay? So if your AWPer gets a kill, then that player in sandbags can jiggle or try swing to get the second or third player that may be there also. And that player's sandbags can also ask for flashes from the AWPer or the player in headshot. They can just throw a simple flash in front of the sandbags and they can swing off of it and get maybe a multi-frag if they can. The one thing I would suggest in this situation is making sure that player's sandbags has a smoke, because it mostly gets mollied off and that's quite a common spot to molly as a T. So make sure that player has a smoke so they don't get caught off. Here is a similar variation to the second setup I just shown with a player elevator, preferably with an AWP. However, they can also be a rifler as well, that's not a problem. Then you have another player playing headshot watching the short push. This time you won't have a player sandbags. This is more if you're playing more of a passive A hold and you have maybe 2 towards B or 2 towards middle. You can just hold this with 2 people quite safely, and if the elevator player is getting pressured by anyone coming up ramp, they can just fall back easily and play for the retake. Now moving on to middle, we're going to have 2 players here playing fairly aggressive. We'll just have 1 boosted up on the box playing this close upper angle, meaning if anyone walks around this corner, they can have a advantage of a slightly off angle because of that. And you have a player underneath the box who will just be jiggling the contact and trying to bait in any T's coming. And also they can work as a bait and switch at the same time, with as soon as the player on top of the box getting contact, that player who's not on the boost can just swing around and help the player take the fights very easily. So this is a very strong setup if you think the enemy is going to show heavy mid presence, or possibly you could even just leave 1 person on the boost and have the second player go towards B, for example, to help out the B player. Here we're going to see another mid setup for you with 2 players on middle. There is a white box just where those 2 players are, where you can have 1 on top of them and then 1 just underneath it, meaning it's very hard for the T's to clear it because they'll have to clear that angle as 1 essentially, okay? They can't clear it 1 by 1, so you're essentially stacked up on top of each other, making it very difficult for the T's to peek as they have to peek into 2 people, meaning unless one of you whiff, it's a guaranteed 1-for-1 trade. And here is the final mid setup for you. You'll have 1 player on Guardian or Window, whatever you want to call it, and then 1 player in the little cubby slot middle. So that player on Window job is essentially to bait in T's to fight them. So they're just going to jiggle on the corner, maybe take contact, however not peek them, okay? He's only going to peek or swing when the second player is starting to get close contact with them so they can fight at the same time, resulting in good trades and advantage on the CT side. Now moving on towards the B side of the map, we're going to start with 2 players, 1 towards the triple or headshot box, whatever you want to call it, on that position just watching the stairs walk up, and you'll have another player standing behind white, and that player can play off the player on headshot's contact. That's a bit of a mouthful there, but they were playing off their contact and just kind of being a nuisance in that position. That player who's playing white and closer to the stairs can kind of move around quite a fair amount and be very hard to deal with for the T's. So that player's just trying to be a bit of a nuisance for the T's, while the second player is there to help that first player out with any potential pushes towards him, and also throw flashes if they need it or whatever else they need, you know? Here is a more of aggressive, however similar setup to the mid double. You'll have one sitting on the wood of stairs, just looking straight down, and you'll have another player playing on the corner like an AWPer would, okay? So that player can just be jiggling. They don't have to have an AWP as well, even though I mentioned an AWPer can be there. You can have an AWP there if you want, however, it's not required. They can also have a rifle, just jiggling and baiting in Ts. That player's role is to bait in a potential T who may think they can catch that player off by themselves as they're pushed up aggressive. And then as soon as that T rushes out to try kill that first player who's close to wood, they'll be met with two players there, and you can easily at least go 1-for-1 and gain an advantage that way. Here is a little bit of a more passive setup that the B players can hold if they feel they've lost quite a lot of stairs control and they're playing either for a retake or just any entries into the site. You can have one sitting guardian or window, whatever you want to call it, and then one behind E-box on the left hand side. This way they can trade each other and play off of each other very well, as when anyone peeks that angle, they have to peek two people, okay? That way you can both fight the same person at the same time, giving you a lot better advantage to win the fight. Thank you guys so much for watching my CT setup video on Vertigo. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. As always, if you're new, please subscribe and like the video. It helps me out a lot and you won't miss out on any future content. Let me know below what other maps you want to see or other series you also think would be a great idea. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.